high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome to the Full Court Press and a happy midway week to you all. Hope your Wednesday is going well for a one-year kickoff time on June 24th, 2020. However, wherever you are joining us from, we are thankful to you for doing so here on 106 on FM, 1390 AM, and 106onthefan.com. If you want to participate in our show, you can text in at 435-339-0321. If you want to call in, you can call in at 435-752-1069. No guests today. We'll have guests tomorrow and guests Friday. Tomorrow we got a good one, too. Really, really good one. You're going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to talking to him. He's been on our show once before. I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to be willing to join us again. His schedule is going to get absolutely chaotic come August.
Yeah.
So we were able to snag him now, and grateful to have him on tomorrow. It will be a fun show. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned for that. AJ Knight over there. AJ, thanks for joining me. I know, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and you do your prep and everything, and you work with the absolutely incredibly gorgeous and talented McCall Taylor. Why are you laughing?
Nothing. I appreciate the compliments. Thank you.
That wasn't, well, okay. I didn't call you gorgeous or beautiful. But yeah, sure. And you then come here and do a show from 4 to 5. How exhausted are you? Now, granted, I know how you're going to feel next Wednesday and Thursday, because I'm going to maybe, hopefully, come hang out with you.
Well, it'd be interesting if we pulled double duty that day. Today was longer. We had a seminar, so I haven't left the building yet. But, when you're passionate about something, you find the energy to do it. I love sports, and I love doing the show with you. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun, and it's great to have you on here. So, again, appreciate you.
Always happy to fill in.
Coming out to join me on the show. Okay, so, by the way, I saw this graphic, and I wanted to read it to you. For sports fans who are just itching for sports to be back, July is the month where you can finally just go absolutely ballistic. July, okay? You got till July, and then in July, you will have, where is it? Son of a biscuit with no butter and jam. There it is. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
MLB.
Yep.
July 24th.
Right.
NFL training camp, late July. NHL projected to resume their playoffs, late July. Major League Soccer, July 8th. WNBA season starts, July 24th. NBA season starts, July 30th.
How does that feel for you? Because I get to fill in, but obviously you and Eric on the normal rotation here since March have kind of had slim pickings, and all of a sudden, basically July, you're going to have every sport imaginable available. As a sportscaster, it was like, just got to make it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that. It's a great question. And I think I kept telling myself, hey, it'll be back, right? May.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, June, it's going to be back. We're going to have it back. And we just kind of kept pushing it back, and we kept trying to find ways to keep our show running, even if it was only for 1 hour. Now, there's other shows. I mean, you hear Colin Coward for 3 or 4 hours. You hear Doug Gottlieb, unfortunately for you, Fox Sports listeners. You hear Doug Gottlieb throw his absolute trash of a voice and even worse and garbage opinions for a couple hours. And then you finally get the freshness of myself, AJ Knight, Eric Franson. But
are you more relieved as a sportscaster or as a fan?
I'm more relieved, as a fan, because I feel bad for our listeners. All our listeners, all 27 of them, are
dedicated,
have been suffering for 3 months of us just trying to plug through. There are days where I would go and do 3 hours of hardcore research and get nothing out of it because there was nothing going on.
Time for another top 10 list. Time for another Mount
Rushmore. What are our poor
Rushmore.
listeners going to listen to today?
Well, I think my dad phrased it. My dad has been going bonkers without any sports whatsoever because he's a huge fantasy player as well. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. He does them all. And I think he phrased it well, is that the impact of no sports is felt doubly because, one, you don't have it, you're used to it. But two, this is a perfect time because sports are such a distraction that you would really want sports. So it's like the impact was double because it wasn't here and you didn't have the distraction while dealing with the pandemic.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. But so our listeners have had to really push through with us. I feel more bad for our listeners. And now I feel more relief for them than I do myself. Like, our listeners have had nothing to listen to except us just spew garbage out about whatever it was. Talk about the same topics
NASCAR
for 7 days straight. That's true. We did have NASCAR, and we do have some NASCAR fans out there who listen to us. But our poor listeners have had to deal with this for 3 months. And finally, they will get sports for us to talk about to them with their opinions.
So for you, I think, and as a microcosm of sports fans as a whole, do you feel like you took the opportunity of lack of the 4 big major ones in the U.S., baseball, hockey, basketball, and football? Do you feel like you took the opportunity to maybe expand your sports fandom? Maybe you dabbled in, I don't know, because they showed Korean baseball on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean,
NASCAR's been going on,
I
obviously.
definitely got a hold of the gratitude for spike ball and the American League Cornhole Championship.
Oh, don't diss cornhole. That's my jam. That's backyard.
So thank you,
Oh,
ESPN Ocho, if that's still what it is. But
Why wasn't there a dodgeball league? It's a perfect time to start one.
I had to deal with watching spike ball. Now, I am grateful to Netflix because I found Money Heist, great show.
Uh-huh.
I became addicted to Cheers now all of a sudden.
Oh, okay.
And
it's considered classics. It's not a bad choice.
Yeah, Cheers is great. Ozark.
I haven't seen
finally
that.
started watching
It's
Ozark. I did not touch Tiger King.
I still haven't seen it.
And I know one of our listeners is a big fan of it, and and he gave me great reasons to watch it, and I should. I just can't pull myself together to do it. And by the way, the other thing I've actually enjoyed about it is the classic games I've been able to watch.
I was just going to ask you that because I feel like I've consumed way more documentaries.
So have I.
And YouTube has done a pretty good job of putting on some old games. As a Bulls fan, I've watched some of the old Michael Jordan's finals games.
Yeah. And then there's, what else did I have? I guess in regards to the old games. So, and by the way, you're right. The documentaries were awesome. The Long Gone Summer of McGuire versus Sosa. The Lance documentary was incredible.
Is it? I haven't DVR'd.
Dude, it is mind blowing.
Well, I meant those, and then
and it really pisses you off about Lance. It really does.
How I remember in high school, he was I was in marching band. Our drill instructor was an intense dude, and Lance Armstrong was always his he practices in the rain, so when it's raining when he's playing, he's prepared for it. Everybody else, and then he was such a d-bag.
Yeah, he screwed up big time, and the unfortunate, when you watch the documentary, it doesn't really make you that much more of a fan of him.
Oh,
it really doesn't. It just kind of like, dude, you let this run for this. You want to slap him for it. But then in regards of games, to watch the USC Texas National Championship in 06.
That's a classic.
I never seen the full game. Never seen the full game. So I was like, oh my gosh.
So good.
I mean, there is so much talent on that field.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So good.
The Miami Ohio State National Championship in 2002 in football. I had a chance to watch that.
That was not pass interference.
No, and it was not. Absolutely right. The national championship between Kansas and Memphis in 08 in college basketball, where Derrick Rose and one other guy missed 4 or 6 straight free throws.
Yeah, they blew it.
Get a game-tying 3 on the other side, and they go in overtime, and Kansas wins it. The LeBron James comeback in when they beat the Warriors in that Game 6 and Game 7. Game 6, I believe it was Game 6 or Game 5, when Kyrie and LeBron both had 40-plus points.
Yeah.
Just blew your mind.
I thought for sure they were done.
Dude, the whole world
when
thought they were
Draymond
done.
got suspended, I was like, all right, well, they're going to win Game 4. Or was it 5-5? They're going to win Game 5 because he's suspended. And I was like, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to win the rest. I read the book. I can't remember what it's called. There's a docu or a biography about LeBron James. It picks up the day he left for Miami, and then it ends when he won the championship. And it's written, I can't remember who it was written by, but I read that when I was in Asia on vacation. It's actually pretty good. Talks about Cleveland's whole thought process and how they started mending fences to recruit him back. It's a pretty good book. It's a pretty good book.
I got to see, the NBA Network had the Wilt Chamberlain great game. Wilt had what was it? It was 53 points, 32 rebounds, 14 assists, 24 blocks, and 11 steals. I'm not joking. That was his stat line
with
for a
middle
game.
Schoolers.
53, 32, 14, 24, and 11 steals.
That's insane.
And I watched that game, and I thought, dude, no one belonged on the same court as him.
Except for Bill Russell. He couldn't beat him.
Bill Russell, yeah. Bill Russell was his own, and Kareem was another guy.
Yeah.
Kareem gave him issues, too. So to see those games and classics were so fun. Absolutely a blast. Became a NASCAR guy a little bit more than I was before.
Big shout out to Carl.
Yeah, big thanks to Carl on that one because, well, I mean, I love watching 4-hour rain delays. The grace is great. It's just a delay you have to get through, which is really tough in itself. So it's been good, but I feel more relieved for our listeners because they're sick of hearing the same thing over and over again. They really are, and I don't blame them. I go home and I'm like, man, these guys have got to be like, dude, give us something else. And we have through some great interviews. We've had two interviews this week. We have 2 more coming up, and then finally in July, like late July, it just comes boom. And again, a reminder that season 3 will start on July 30th, the day the NBA starts. 4 to 6 p.m. will be Season 3, Episode 1. And we will have... what are you laughing at?
No, it's good. I like it. I like it.
So, through Season 3, Episode 1, we're going to have...
a catchy title like Season 3, A New Hope or something like that.
Yeah. You're going to hear some new sounds, bites. We're going to have a couple of interviews to introduce you back to the NBA. We're going to have a couple of interviews to get you back or get you into the MLB season. We've got all sorts of things planned for Season 3, and Episode 1 is going to be great. Again, that will start on July 30th. Now, there is a asterisk or a pending to it because the NBA will be playing a full slate day of games.
Yes.
If they play during that 4 to 6 p.m. range, we turn the reins over to David Locke and allow him to take the radio airwaves, and we will gladly move aside. We do not know what time the Jazz will play. And by the way, it can range from anything from 10 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Anywhere in between there.
I think that's a good call by NBA because you know what? Everybody says one of the when everybody talks about like what's your favorite weekend of sports, one of the ones that's always considered right is the opening of the NCAA tournament. Everybody loves that first weekend, and the reason why is because you could just watch basketball game after game after game after game. So
absolutely.
NBA doing that is the absolute right call.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and I agree with you. Everybody's going to plug in.
Oh, yeah.
When basketball starts, everyone's plugging in. Everyone's going to dial in to see if because there's intrigue to it, right? LeBron James, how far can this team go? Giannis Antetokounmpo needs to get to the finals. If they don't, does that kind of tell Giannis, hey, it's time to go. I need to move on. You got underdogs. Houston Rockets probably shouldn't be in there. They don't think they're gonna make the finals. A lot of people don't. Can they? Can Russell Westbrook and James Harden get the Rockets to final? There's just so many questions and so many answers that need to be seen. And I think through these 8 regular season quote unquote games and through the pro season, you're gonna find out a lot. And just can't wait.
Yes.
Speaking of NBA. Did you hear about this Donovan Mitchell situation?
A little bit.
I know we're late on talking about this. We are really late on talking about it. But I think the more the week goes on, the bigger the story becomes because of who Donovan Mitchell is. So for those who don't have Instagram, Donovan put out a story, or not a story, a picture of it was a black screen with the white lettering spelling out free-ish. And it was talking about how it's a free country, but there are many problems, issues, and adversity for those who are African American, and that the treatment has never been fair. The replies below it are not good. I'm going to say, and there are many positive comments, but they didn't come until after the negative comments were shown by Donovan. Until Donovan alerted the whole entire NBA world of, hey, this is a joke. In fact, I could read it right now for you if you want. But just his tweets told you how upset he was with the community, with the NBA fans of the world, and more importantly, with Salt Lake City. He said on June 19th, AJ said this, quote, Can't see how y'all openly can cheer for us. Then when it comes to this, be against us so openly, end quote. And then he had said just before that, seeing a lot of people's true colors. Said it once, and I'll keep saying it. You all can't hide no more, end quote. We, as Jazz fans, have been begging for big-time stars to come to Utah and asking everybody, why don't you come to Utah? Why didn't you come play for Jerry Sloan? Why don't you come play with Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and one of the most genius coaches in Quinn Snyder? Joe Johnson did it. But why can't you? Donovan Mitchell almost kind of provides an answer to it. Is that too bold to say?
No, it does. I mean, if you're able to be reflective and really be observant, among sports fans, and I know that I think it's Steven. He's on Fox Sports now. He played with the Spurs. He played with a lot of Jackson. Steven Jackson, I think, is one of the ones that has been vocal about it being one of his least favorite places to play. Mm-hmm. But Salt Lake has been considered that for a long time. I mean, look, I think Russell Westbrook is kind of a jerk, but we just had that incident. Was that last year? COVID's blurred my mind. When he had the incident with that fan.
Yeah.
And a lot of sportscasters kind of were like, well, that's not a surprise. This happens there. And I think a little bit. I think the other player, or the home team players, the Jazz players, are aware of it. But I think sometimes just human nature, it's easy to get complacent when it's not happening to you. And Donovan Mitchell, took his stance, and those protests are happening in Salt Lake City, so he's not the only one with that stance. And fans basically told him to shut up and dribble.
Is that amazing? Is that like LeBron James, like the biggest stars in may come speak out, the harsher the reaction is.
Yeah.
If it was Jared Dudley, you get a few responses here and there, but it wouldn't be like this mass generalization. And the way people are responding to Donovan, even within the home state. And you're right, like the responses in there are dude, stick to sports. Hey, dude, your job's to play basketball. Hey, you're a millionaire. You don't know what it's like to be African American. You don't know what it's like to be in one of those people's shoes. Like, how in the world can you say that? And my biggest fear now comes, and I know, and I had made the mistake of like, oh, he's gonna go, and then someone had a highly respected writer had messaged me and said, Ajay, this isn't about basketball. Don't make it about that. It's about a human being. And they were absolutely 100% right, and I totally forgot about that. Because as we see them as athletes. That's why people are like, hey, shut up and dribble. They're more than athlete. They're human, right? And so he pointed that out, but I just can't get over the fact that in 3 or 4, whatever years, 3 years, when he's a free agent and he's getting all sorts of offers, I don't know if it's the money that's going to talk as much as the reaction from the fan base.
Well, so I think that writer is right, because the people who are telling him you're a basketball player, well, that's his occupation. It's not his identity. It's what he does. It's not who he is. It's how he makes money. And just because he's a basketball player and a very good one who's now making a very good living that a lot of people wish they could make, doesn't mean that he's disqualified from having an opinion on things.
Exactly. Yeah,
there's plenty of people everybody has. It's the beauty of America. Everybody has a voice, and our voices are all supposed to be equal. To your point, if it is about that, I wrote an article specifically about Donovan Mitchell that I know I shared on The Fan. I think it was last year when all this stuff was hitting the fan about where Anthony Davis was going to go during the season. And the article is titled, "If you're something along the lines, if you're a small town, you got 7 years," because they're going to play out the rookie contract. No, I don't think any rookies ever turned down the extension when they're a restricted free agent, and then after that, gone. And Donovan, I got told Donovan Mitchell's different. I think it's kind of hard to predict that far out. And he, to be honest, he seems different. He seemed like he genuinely was a part of this culture. Every time I feel like I turn around, I don't know if you've seen the video. One that stands out to me is he was driving to practice one day and there was a car accident he wasn't involved in, and he just got out and waited with the family till the police stayed. So, I mean, he's a good person. But money's obviously a factor, but money's not everything. Winning's a big part, and this has got to be a big part too. There's no way, especially with the NBA, where stars have so much more power than every other sport, there's no reason that you wouldn't pay attention as a league and be like, yeah, no, not Salt Lake.
I And that's the thing is to hear no, not Salt Lake. Just makes me want to shake my head. And the other thing to it is, and I loved, in fact, by the way, how can people find that article really quickly?
Oh boy. You know what? Let me go dig through it, see if I can get it back.
Can you put it out on Twitter for us to see?
Yeah, let me go.
Because and I read it, and it's really, really, really telling about the future. I mean, about the past of the NBA since free agency became the big deal, and the future of free agency. Because you're right, and if I can turn it into a basketball perspective now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? The Greek Freak, biggest thing that could happen for the Milwaukee Bucks. When he becomes a free agent and he gets offers, and you can bet your butt that he sure will get an offer with high dollar, with really good contending championship basketball teams. If he leaves, it sets the Milwaukee Bucks back 6 or 7, maybe 8 years. If Donovan Mitchell, because I think Rudy Gobert is gone. I think Rudy Gobert is going to get traded. If Donovan Mitchell leaves, if Rudy leaves, it sets the team back maybe 2 years. No, 2 years. If Donovan Mitchell leaves, it sets this organization back 7 years.
Yeah, because I mean, in all honesty, and credit to the organization for scouting him and obviously developing. I mean, he was kind of I don't want to say a lucky find. Obviously, they traded for him, so they felt like they saw something. But in all honesty, when you get a player that late in the first round, you don't expect to be a superstar, which Donovan Mitchell to me is well on his way to being a superstar. Donovan Mitchell to me was the rookie of the year, not Ben Simmons.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, the Jazz moved up, 7 spots to get him? From 23 to 16 to get the guy? So, I mean, they obviously knew there was something special about him. And the fact that Dennis Lindsey, with a very, very prestigious and small-circled group, made them sign a contract to say, hey, you do not talk about this guy to anyone, anywhere, anyhow. Not a word. He made him sign a dang contract that if they were to voice their opinion or thoughts of him publicly, they would not have a job. Because he was that high on him, and he saw something in him.
I mean, do what you can. It's like granted, it's way back in the day. The Steelers hid the film from Lynn Swann, and that's how they drafted him. Yeah. They're like, no, we can't find it.
I did hear about that story. That's actually a pretty good one, too. But again, it sets this organization back. And the unfortunate thing is that you don't see... I don't see how this ends with Donovan Mitchell being a member of the Jazz in 3 to 4 years. The way... And they're going to say, well, that way... that's 3 or 4 years later. You can't predict that. You can't know that. Donovan Mitchell's pretty good at holding grudges. He can remember things pretty well. So when he goes to Brooklyn or Detroit or New York Knicks to go home and they have a team, a contending team with lots of money and less issues with the racism, he's going to reflect on that.
Well, not only the grudge thing, but, I mean, it's one thing if it comes down to a decision about money or a decision about winning. Those are things the team can control. This is a case for him. It may not matter what happens. But I've seen what I've seen, and that's enough. Salt Lake has been documented for its issues with fans in the past. I don't know where it ranks, but Boston for baseball is considered probably the worst place to go play as a visiting team, especially an African American.
Yeah,
I think in basketball, Salt Lake's up there, and to match that.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt, Salt Lake has become one of the more notorious places to play at that has been very unfriendly. And not only so, when Russell Westbrook came out and the claims came out about Shane and this guy being racist towards this player, all of a sudden Rudy Gobert's like, yeah, I've heard it here. Fabo Cephalosha, same thing, said he had heard things here at Vivint Smart Home Arena. Donovan Mitchell said he had heard things here.
So here's my question for you. You being a lifelong Jazz fan, so did you see what the Red Sox organization did after Torrey Hunter made his comments?
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
So just a little context, Torrey Hunter was asked, I think, or revealed in an interview, he said that every contract he signed, it said Boston, he will not be traded to Boston.
Oh,
and it's
that's
because
right,
of how many times he was called the N-word. And so they asked about that. So then Boston came out. The organization said, it's true. This is not good enough. We know it's true, and we're going to be better. So the organization leaned in and accepted it. Do you think there's something do you think the Jazz need to take the same path, the organization?
Well, that's a good question. So here's the thing is that Gail Miller kind of came out and already did that. After Russell Westbrook's incident, the owner came out in a handwritten statement and made some comments to the Jazz fans about, hey, we can and should be better. We know better. I felt like that should be the end of it, right? Like if the owner comes out and says, hey, look, we aren't good enough. We aren't doing good enough. What makes us think that we have the right to say those kind of things, those derogatory remarks to somebody, whether they're on their team or another team or not? It doesn't matter. Not at fans, not at staff, not at players, anybody. And yet, here we are, Donovan Mitchell posts one photo that says, all it says, AJ, is free-ish.
Right.
And there's a load of Jazz fans just grilling
Well,
him.
the other thing is, too, it's not out of nowhere. Again, there were protests in Salt Lake. Yeah. It's not like he just posted out of left field. It's going on. There are protests about this, the Black Lives Matter movement, the police brutality. So he's not the only one voicing this opinion. So back to the Jazz thing. Do you think that they need to lead by example in terms of like a monetary donation, announce that they're going to take some kind of new initiative? Because the fan attacks, I'm sure there's some people that cross the racism line, but the comments you read, they're just people kind of being ignorant. They're not really being racist. Is there something you do? Because it is something that has been an ongoing, I guess, issue in Salt Lake City with opposing teams. And obviously, as you said, Gobert came out, Salvesen came out, that said they've heard things too. Is there something that they need to do to announce some kind of initiative?
I don't know what else you do, right? Like, they banned the fan for life.
Right.
I don't know what else you do. Honestly, the best thing for the Jazz right now is that they get no fans at those games. For the rest of the season, they don't have to deal with these fans. Because could you imagine how awkward it would be that our season resumes on July 30th, and then at Vivint Small Arena,
there'll be people probably booing him, yeah.
And here comes Donovan Mitchell. Like, what's the reaction going to be?
I'd like to think overall more people, vast majority would cheer.
Yes, okay, now that's true, but are these the same fans that were ripping them on social media?
Nah, but you know how the internet is.
They're separating personal opinion to basketball opinion. Oh, you're not the guy making a political statement. You are the guy. You're the guy that's playing basketball and is going to try and win a big game for our team. Yeah, go Donovan Mitchell. But when it comes back to Instagram and he posts something on there, is he going to just grill him?
I mean, the only person that can answer that, I guess, is Donovan Mitchell. Does he obviously, as you read some of his tweets, he was unhappy. He sees it. He's probably taking notes of it. But does he see that as the culture, or does he see that as a couple of loud, ignorant people as opposed to what Salt Lake fans and Jazz fans really are, the majority?
Yeah, I'm with you. That's a great question.
Because I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I don't know if I could answer that. That's a really good question, but I don't know if I can answer that.
I sent you the article. I'm putting it up on Facebook if you want to throw up on Twitter. The article about the stars in the superstars in smaller cities.
AJ Knight's a great writer. It's really good stuff with good opinion, with backup with it. Unlike his argument about the Bears yesterday, so it's good stuff. All right, we're gonna take a break. Coming back, we need to get into some more NBA news and then MLB talk as well. MLB, they start their spring training.
I can't believe it, right?
I know it's weird to even say they're gonna have a spring training, but they are back. Baseball's back, and it starts next week. And we'll get into that and more here on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
The Full Court Press, AJ Knight, Ajay Salvesen, the AJ and Ajay Show.
I was thinking about that the other day because Ajay and I have been kicking around some ideas about some stuff. It'd be funny if we did Ajay and I was trying to think of it in my head, but Ajay and Ajay. You know what I mean? So it's two AJ and AJ again, but you do the pronunciation different. You know how they say you put the pronunciation on the wrong syllable? Because that's what it really is. It's AJ and Ajay.
So what was your idea?
Ajay and Ajay. I'm working on it. It's not a great idea.
I like the idea.
It's okay. You can tell me you can try for it. It's just funny that
we'll come up with a couple more.
It's just funny that it's just a different pronunciation between our names of how you do the AJ and Ah. It's an Ajay.
It's the Ajay show. Starring
AJ and Ajay show.
Hey, did you? Okay, so a couple days ago, Fox. Okay, you're a gambling kind of guy.
And, I like to.
Now we don't promote to go gamble. I
like to call them Nevada guessing games.
Yeah, we're there. Yeah, let's stick with that actually. But FoxBet.com released odds on which NFL teams will finish with the most and least wins for the 2020 season.
Okay.
Now help me out because I don't understand the betting world at all. Mm-hmm. When something says 100-1 odds or 3-1 odds. What is the meaning of that? If it's 3-1, what does that mean?
So the 1 is what you bet, and the 3 is the payout. So like if it's 3-1 and you bet $5, you'd win 15.
Okay, that's still weird. All right,
yeah. Here's one for you, just completely random.
Go ahead.
I'm so bummed I didn't do this. So Joe Burrow, right? He won the Heisman, set all those crazy records for LSU. At the beginning of the season last year, I think he was going off. I think it was 1,000-1. Or 200-1 or something like that. So you bet $5, you would have had a massive. You're just like, you know what? I'm an LSU fan. Long shot. Just put the $5 down. You would have had this huge payout because nobody was giving him any credit whatsoever. Kind of makes me mad. I was like, because my brother's an LSU fan. I'm like, you should have said something.
Okay, so here it is. The least regular season wins. Jacksonville's 3-1. Panthers, Bengals are 7-1. Redskins are 8-1. Giants and Dolphins are 11-1. Lions are 13. Jets 14. Las Vegas Raiders are 20. That's still weird to say Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons are 25, as is the Chargers, Cardinals, Broncos, Browns, and the Bears, your Bears, 30-1 odds. Texans are also 30. Colts, Patriots are 35. Titans, Vikings are at 40. Bills, Rams are at 45.
The Rams are that high up?
Yeah, no kidding. Buccaneers are 60-1. Even with Tom Brady, O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski. Seahawks are also 60-1. Steelers 75, Eagles 80, Cowboys 85, Packers 100, Niners 150, Saints 150, Ravens are 250, and Kansas City defending Super Bowl champs are 350.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. They're definitely not going to be down there. That's just a waste of money, even if you're like, it's 350. Here's $5. I think. What is your opinion of Bridgewater? Because that's the only. I think it's a 3-team race. Because it's definitely the Jaguars, definitely Cincinnati. Because they're even with Joe Burrow, there's a bad team. And then I think depending on your opinion of Teddy Bridgewater, though they did get Joe Brady from LSU, I think is an incredible offensive coach. That's a tough division with the Saints. The Falcons, I still think, are decent. And then obviously Brady and company moved down to Tampa. That's a tough division.
Yeah. And you know what? That's going to be like the juiciest division of them all. I feel like the AFC West at one point for like 4 years straight from 2010 to 14 was the toughest division. And now I feel like it's completely and fully swapped over to the NFC South.
I wouldn't discredit the NFC West, especially with all the moves the Cardinals made.
Niners, Cardinals, Rams. Give me one more reason there.
Seattle.
Yeah, and that's always been a brutal division.
Yeah.
That's always a physical division. But, you think of the NFC South, though. Drew Brees and the Saints.
Yep.
Tampa Bay with Tom Brady.
Yep.
Detroit is Detroit.
Atlanta and Tampa.
And you want to talk about falling off a cliff ever since that disaster in the Super Bowl. And Falcons are the exemplary of that. Is there another team in that division?
Carolina is the other one. It's 4.
Okay, and that's another thing. We got to talk about Carolina.
I was saying,
Cam Newton is still without a job, isn't that? And that's still odd to me.
Yeah, so he's obviously, I think you and I would agree, he's one of the 32 most talented quarterbacks, right? Since there's 32 teams in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his issue, I think part of it is the pandemic has not allowed people to get a physical on him because he's broken down. And I don't know. I think there's kind of a stereotyping because he's never been super accurate. So if he can't run like he could, it kind of makes him quote unquote ineffectual because that kind of opens up his game, But he should have a team. If he's holding out for a starting job, I can kind of understand why he wouldn't necessarily have a gig because I think a lot of the teams are kind of set with either veterans or guys that they're interested in. But yeah, he should be on a team.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because Cam Newton's different than Colin Kaepernick. Cam Newton has real legit talent, and he can make a team better. If you put him on the right team, you're going to go a little ways.
Do you have questions about his leadership? That would, I think, be something that teams have issues with. Just because I think a lot of people see...
Okay, so, and here's the thing with that, is I do have questions with his leadership.
Like, because everyone would point to the fumble
3 years ago. Yeah, well, 3 years ago, I had questions about his leadership and his maturity.
Right.
One of the things he's fixed. Now it's just the leadership part. But again, playing for Carolina underneath Ron Rivera is not quite the leadership training mode you're hoping for. Playing underneath Bill Belichick and Tom Brady would be a great way to learn about leadership. Hence, you look at where Jarrett Stidham is now. The guy went from a rookie, and he actually looked really solid, and is now going to turn into a starting quarterback. But I feel like because underneath the correct leadership, he's going to be really good. I think Colts would have had that good leadership for him. I feel like the Chargers, maybe.
I think there's something to be said about, because, don't get me wrong, Cam Newton, way better than Jameis Winston. Also, Jameis Winston saying he's one of the best African-American quarterbacks in the history of the league is a ridiculous statement. So let's just get that out of the way. He had the first 30-30 season. But Winston, I think, realized what his situation was. So what did he do? He put himself in a position to get the best mentorship from Drew Brees and one of the best coaching from, obviously, Sean Payton. And that's, I think, is going to have... I mean, look what it did for Teddy Bridgewater.
That's true.
He's on a huge contract with Carolina. I think you're right. Cam Newton at this point, if you're not going to get a starting gig, that's what I would do is go somewhere where you're going to get good coaching and kind of just by association almost rebuild your image. I only ask about the leadership thing because I know one of the other things people are concerned about is he has that interest in fashion. And, one of the things in all sports is, he's good at the game, but does he love the game? And it's really, I think, a thing in football. Do you like football or do you love football?
Yeah. No, that's
like Tom Brady loves football.
Yeah. I mean, he's out there talking about him. He's out there working out with other receivers, even though the NFL Player Association has strongly discouraged him from doing just that.
Yeah.
Hey, really quickly, can we just go back to the NBA for a quick moment?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to kind of jump back and forth, and I'm sorry. A tweet just came out.
That is this world in the pandemic,
no
right?
Kidding. A tweet just came out. I want to read this to you. Problem 1. Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to get hurt in this playoff run because he's about to get paid. Problem 2. The Utah Jets have too many ball handlers in the starting rotation. Joe Ingles, Mike Conley, and Donovan Mitchell. Possible solution for both. Bring Donovan Mitchell off the bench in Orlando. So your starting lineup would be... Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, Royce O'Neal, George Niang, and Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell on a little bit of a minutes restriction to limit the chances of injury, while also letting him be the ultimate spark off the bench. I'm sorry, so what did we get Jordan Clarkson for again?
Yeah, that's a good... that runs into a whole other issue. Also, that tweet is, I think, to me, kind of ignorant as well, because even if Donovan Mitchell gets hurt, and unless it's like career ending, and please don't let that happen, but unless it's that, to assume that the Jazz are not going to, the second the clock hits midnight, offer him the most money, the longest contract they can, is not a very good take, because they're absolutely going to throw the most money in years at him they can as soon as the clock hits midnight when he becomes a restricted free agent.
So my guy, Tony Jones, who we were going to have on today, and then he had to cancel because he has some family things to do, which... Hey, dude, daddy time is much more important.
Understandable.
He says, number 1 is not a problem. Number 2 is not a problem. And then he says, how bad do we need ball back? We've got people coming out and saying that a 23-year-old all-star needs to come off the bench.
Yeah, no.
That's unreal.
The only way that did they finally pick a format for that? So the Jazz know who they're playing in the first round? Is it the Rockets, or did they what format did they go with?
Yeah. So okay, here's how it goes. You play your 8 games, seeding 8 games,
right?
And then based on where you end up there in the Western Conference is who you'll play.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the only way the Jazz are legitimately going to make a run is because most people have written them off. I think most people like them as a potential dark horse, and then Bodon went down, and they're like, no, they're done. The only way they're going to go is if Donovan Mitchell goes absolutely crazy.
Okay. Yeah, because you're right. Bojan Bogdanovic being out, like, really damages their chances.
Yes.
I mean, extremely, because they can't beat Houston without Bojan. But, call me crazy, they can beat the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Thunder, and whoever is 7th and 8th.
The Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to beat the Clippers.
They can beat the Clippers. Yes, they can beat the Clippers. They can beat the Clippers. I didn't say the Lakers. Holy crap. Sorry, I just saw some news. I didn't say the Lakers. I said the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Thunder, and anybody in 7th and 8th. That would be the Pelicans and fetch the Spurs, maybe.
I don't think they can beat the Clippers. Everyone else, yeah, sure, I'm on board. But again, the key is obviously Gobert needs to play just lockdown defense, right? And I would say Mike Conley also needs to find himself. But basically, Donovan Mitchell just has to say, all right, get on, and I'm going to take us to the win. The only way it's going to happen.
I would agree. It would help if Donovan Mitchell does go off.
Yes.
And he's going to have to be the ball handler for a majority of the time. I
think so. So hopefully Mike Conley finds a bit of a shot in his defense. And the other thing is you need Ingles to rain him down too, because you have to space the floor. That's the problem with losing Bogdanovic as well, as it loses another floor spacer.
Yeah, and that's the other problem is that can you spread the court without Bojan Bogdanovic?
Yeah,
because you could before, but can you now?
Yeah,
and it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough. I'm kind of worried.
How about speaking of the playoffs? Big fan of that J.R. Smith signing, going to the Lakers.
Oh, man. Thank you for bringing that up. I totally forgot about that. Oh, my gosh.
I think LeBron is still shaking his head at him.
I was going to say, do you think LeBron... Did you see the meme of LeBron? It says 2017, and LeBron is, in that photo where LeBron's yelling at J.R. Smith of, like, WTF, dude?
Yeah.
And then it says 2020... in another photo in a Lakers uniform. Same photo, but just in a Lakers uniform. It's
gonna happen. That's J.R.
Just giving him that look. Dude, okay, so that guy is... I don't know what... He's either, when he's not on drugs, is the best player not talked about enough.
Well, the thing is...
when he has done weed before a game, it's bad. You're not getting good J.R. Smith. You're going to get J.R. Smith. I don't know if you have team timeouts, but I'm going to run the clock out for 3 seconds in the NBA Finals.
No matter if I'm hot or cold, I'm going to get up 11 threes. No, I mean, can you talk about going into a great situation? He sat out all this year, or most of it, right? Because Cleveland bought him out.
Yeah.
He didn't want to sign with anybody, even though I think there was some interest, but that was it. And then now he's going to get a chance to potentially win a championship, and a good chance at that, because the Lakers, I think, are the favorites.
Correct. Heavily favorites, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Heavily favorites. So, yeah, dude, that J.R. Smith signing is just odd as all get out. And by the way, do you know who also needs to sign somebody at a wing?
Who?
Portland, because Trevor Ariza is not coming.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
They need to get that place filled in very quickly.
And he's a big loss. Not that I really expect Portland to make a ton of noise, but his defense and experience, that's a big loss.
More so for the defensive part, because McCollum can't play defense. I mean, their guards they struggle at that.
Yes.
Person. Hey, some news coming out. So yesterday there was an announcement that Major League Baseball teams, with the season starting on July 24th, that if there was a COVID-19 issue where they wanted to play, that the MLB had the right to relocate teams during the regular season to neutral sites for health and safety reasons, including the postseason. There was rumor, and I'm just going to say rumor, that the Los Angeles of Anaheim Angels could come to Salt Lake City and play here at the AAA baseball park of the Salt Lake Bees, since the Bees are not playing. That is not official. There is no word of that. It is just rumor.
Might actually see some games then.
Nick Roque of The Athletic for the MLB, and it reports, at the moment it appears the Rockies AJ, are angling for Albuquerque to be their official secondary training site for the 30 other players on their satellite roster. Metro State was also a possibility at one point. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Why? Gross. No offense to Albuquerque.
For the record, I lived in New Mexico for a year. No one has nice things to say about Albuquerque. Santa Fe's the good one.
I've never been to Santa Fe.
I haven't either, but it's supposed to be the good one. Albuquerque's supposed to be kind of, yeah.
And by the way, a bettor at MGM Grand just weighs $192 million, or is that $192,000 on a parlay for tomorrow night's boxing event. If they do, bettor nets $25,000.
I don't like parlays. They're tough.
I don't even know what that means, but that's sweet.
Parlay means basically you have to win all your bets. So you bet 3 things, and then you bet that all 3 of them are going to happen. So the only way to win your bet is if all 3 happen.
Oh.
It's the way to maximize. It's the way to multiply your winnings. But all of the things you bet have to happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can do that. Holy cow. There is so much just. Twitter is a hatred site.
It's kind of a toilet.
It is.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
KSL Sports puts out this thing. BYU, Utah, or Utah State. Do your thing. By the way, Utah State's got 1,000 likes compared to Utes' 254 retweets and BYU's 155 comments. Then some San Diego State fan comes out and says, owning the state of Utah like we do the rest of the West. And
San Diego State, your coach won 10 games and said, yeah, I don't want to do this again.
I'm going to put out some kind of sort of a Sam Merrill thing. I got to find a Sam Merrill photo here and put that out just to politely reply. That might shut him up.
If you could find a gif of Sam Merrill just hitting one from 47 feet away, that would be great.
I got to find that photo. There it is. There it is. Oh, we've got action, kids. Who's your daddy? Sam Merrill.
Ajay's picking Twitter fights with San Diego State fans.
Oh, dude, they're the best to pick fights with. They are the best to pick fights with. Okay, here's your daddy. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming back, we will close up this show and get you ready for Thursday's show. It's all coming up on the Full Court Press, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Ajay Salvesen.
It's from The Athletic. Chris Vanini, year 1 of stint 2 for Gary Anderson at Utah State, was a roller coaster that ended in major disappointment. What do you see out of the Aggies this year?
You lose your quarterback, and you lose a lot on the defensive side of the ball as well. I'm curious what that depth looks like now with those guys having a year. And it's interesting because the Mountain West, half the league has new head coaches. So there's a real opportunity, I think, in the Mountain West for a lot of teams to make some moves.
Starting at 4 p.m. on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and 106.9thefan.com.
The Aggies are number 1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
AJ Knight, Ajay Salvesen, Full Court Press, wrapping it up by Wednesday for you. Get ready for Thursday. We have a really great interview for you tomorrow at 4:30. You won't want to miss it. He's been on our show once. His schedule's going to get crazy busy in July, so we're going to steal him back for one more time before that schedule does get there. You'll enjoy to hear from him, so stay tuned for tomorrow's show with myself and AJ Knight. Should be a good one. AJ, good stuff. What did you learn today?
That even though I knew about the protest going on, that it's surprising to me that someone as beloved as Donovan Mitchell would still get as much hate as he got.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Because, I mean, he's been beloved basically since he walked in the door. And he still just took a bunch of crap like he said, like, the Jazz stink or something.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Rudy Gobert's not, I don't know what the relationship with Utah Jazz is with Rudy Gobert, but it can't be great. And if you lose him in free agency, you'd rather lose him in a trade. I'd rather trade him and get value out of him. And there is value to get out of a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Does that make the impact of Bojan missing this current playoff even more a bigger deal? Because this could be the kind of hurrah before they have to refigure things.
You probably could say that. You just want to make sure that you get your goods out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go out of here empty-handed like you did with Gordon Hayward.
No, you don't.
That was crappy.
That was bad.
You can't have that happen again because you aren't, like as you said, aren't going to get lucky in the draft like you did with Donovan Mitchell. Comes along very few and far between.
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell's come along very few and far between. For AJ and Adam, Ajay Salvesen. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same station, same place.